Wow, just wow. I mean, that's all I have to say after watching the dash cam and an internal cam footage from the Uber accident that killed a pedestrian a couple of days ago in Arizona. I was really hopeful that this was just an accident that was maybe not preventable and just, bad circumstances, and I was almost, I was defending technology, and I was definitely trying to see, let's just look at the footage and see what happened. And now that I do, oh my god, I'm going to show it to you in a second. The video does stop before the actual accident, so it's not graphic, but we'll dissect it, and I'll tell you how it's almost like there are three parties involved, and there are three parties that could have done, all of them, something to prevent this. So let's dive in to this, and there's some other news that we're gonna talk about, and we're gonna start right now. So, by the way, if this is your first time watching, please join this community by hitting the subscribe button. All right, so first, and let me put the footage on the loop, I guess, so you can see it. As you can see, this is at night, and boom, the person just comes out of nowhere. It was a dark road, right? It was some lights here and there, but the person was crossing at the point where it was really dark, and I think the reaction time was maybe that was granted was really maybe 2 seconds on this. And then there's internal footage, as you can see, of the person driving. First of all, let me just once again say that this is tragic. It's a tragedy when somebody doesn't come home, that gets killed, in such a preventable accident. So let me get that out of the way. But we're looking at this from more of a perspective of what could have happened and who could have done what right in this situation. So as you can see, the person is crossing the road. Looks like the lady saw the car. I'm assuming they heard it. It's a gas car. It's a Volvo car, and still kept going. Obviously, I don't see that any reflectors on the markings of the bike or the person. The person's wearing dark clothes. The person's crossing in the dark part of the road, and and still gets hit. And I'm not really sure. I'm not even blaming the person. I think I'm blaming more of the overall rules that we have here in the United States. And let me bring in some comments. Actually, I do this at the end of the show, but there's some good comments that I wanted to bring in that goes into this particular scenario. And the first one is from Zahari. Oh, let me transfer to you guys. So this one from Zahari, and says, as someone said a while ago, some pedestrians mistake right of way for immortality. Guys, at the end of the day, we all have to watch out for ourselves. We need to make sure that we look left and right, like our moms told us, when we cross the road. If the car's coming, don't forget, it doesn't matter how much time that person is going to spend in jail for killing you, you're still going to be dead, or worse, really hurt. And in Europe, and this brings me to another comment of the day, in Europe, we this person, Doug G Spot, I guess. In the UK, the pedestrian has to take responsibility to check for vehicles. Actually, in most Europe, and I think in most countries, it is responsibility of a pedestrian to kind of protect their own lives, because once we paved the roads, the passages for those killing machines that are going really, really fast, we kind of have to say, on those roads designated for those cars, we need to give them the right of way. We need to make sure that that we only cross the street when it's safe. Here in the United States, pedestrians have right of way pretty much all the time, and that leads to the culture of people who don't care. They don't look after themselves. And and again, I can't even blame the lady, because from the moment when I came to this country, people said, don't worry about the cars, they'll stop you, you're the king when it comes to the road. But when I was in Russia and visited other European countries, it was like, listen, if you're gonna step on that pavement where there's all those cars going, listen, it's your responsibility. So, and I you know, this needs to change. We really need to make sure that maybe we change some of our laws and the culture where we do look out after ourselves a little bit more. Because in this case, you know, I don't know if everything went right with the driver, if it was preventable, if it was just a human driver driving the car, because it was a really fast. I mean, I can show it to you again, but it's just, I don't know if, this is real time, by the way. Boom, right? I just don't know if you can react to that. Jaywalking is illegal, actually, says RB. Yes, but still, if you look at DMV handbooks and just in general, what people are telling people, I mean, how we're being taught in this culture is that pedestrians have right of way and cars will stop for you. This is a major misconception that pedestrians have no responsibility, says DRK. Well, I don't know why it's a misconception. It's they have responsibilities, but again, it's not about who's right or wrong at the end of the day. When a person's dead, person's dead. And if that person had a conception that, hey, I have no problems walking out in front of the car because it's their responsibility to stop or they'll take care of it, that's a problem. I don't think anyone or machine could have stopped, says Alan. Well, I disagree. I'll tell you why in a second. And yes, Skylar Parks brings up another good point. So yes, let's move on from the pedestrian who should have seen the car, should have heard the car coming, should have not crossed at that dark part of the street, and should have just taken care of herself, as sad as this might be. But let's move on to the technology. And yes, that is where a big failure came in. These cars are they have LiDARs. LiDAR is actually made exactly for this scenario because those things see in the dark. Yes, they have problems seeing in the fog and the rain and a sandstorm and a lot of other. But one thing but these conditions were perfect for LiDAR. This is exactly what that technology is supposed to help us, right? That pedestrian was moving relatively slow for the LiDAR. If that, I believe it was 5 or 6 seconds from just judging by her speed that she was on the road already. So even though pedestrian and I mean the driver and the cameras might not have seen it, but the LiDAR and all kinds of other sensors should have. So I would really like to know why that LiDAR did not see the person crossing. It's not a tiny little person. It's got a bike. The recognition, I mean, I can easily see the bike with both wheels and the person. It should have been recognized. So I would like to know what happened with the LiDAR. Was it not working? Was it working when the image wasn't processed correctly? Because then we have a problem. Like I said, this image should be processed correctly. So that's another, this is a problem. DRK in the chat room says this is what I thought. LiDAR was supposed to be superior to just cameras. Absolutely. Carolis AGA says, I think there was no chance to react if it was even concentrated 100%. Okay, so the person gets a Darwin Award. Yeah, I mean, for those of you who haven't heard about Darwin Awards, definitely this could be one of those cases. You're assuming that the LiDAR did not see the person, says Derek. I think it did see it, but had insufficient time to stop at that speed. I don't believe that. The LiDAR was supposed to see this person way before before we see this in the footage, and the car should have at least slowed down, and the car seems like it wasn't slowing down at all. As a matter of fact, as you can see, the car is hitting the person while the person almost crossed the entire street, and as you're walking the bike, it takes 5 or 6 seconds or so. There's absolutely no excuse for technology not to see this. If the technology did not see it, we should not have the technology. But I believe the technology should have been able to see that. Now let's move on to the person behind the wheel. And in this case, to me, it looks like that person was on the phone and basically didn't have a chance to react. Yes, there was very little, and I think if even she was paying attention, there was very little chance. But as you can see, she's smiling a little bit, so I'm assuming that's her cell phone that she's looking at. And as soon as she looks up, boom, she hits the person. So I believe that's another thing that Uber and the driver has to be responsible for. Now, if you have a technology that recognizes signs and pedestrians and cars and everything, very top of the line artificial technology to see what's in front of you, I don't see how you don't have a technology to make sure that your drivers are not texting and their eyes are on the road. Because in this case, This driver, I would say, would be involved just because they were texting and driving, and obviously did not have the eyes on the road when that lady started crossing the street. Now, in the footage, obviously, it's hard to see, but with our human eyes, we should be able to see better than the dash cam, a low resolution dash cam footage. Maybe, maybe not, but obviously if you're not looking, you can't see anything ever. So this is, yes, boy, is he in trouble. It's actually she, bromance. Clearly the software wasn't ready. And yeah, so there are a lot of answers that we need to know from Uber in their technology and their hardware and so forth. So I find this to be way more disturbing than I thought. What were they looking at, DRK? I'm assuming a cell phone. I'm going to move on, but we're going to come back to it obviously in the upcoming days. But this is very disturbing. I expect a full investigation, and I expect people to even maybe go to jail after this, as they should, I believe, just judging by this video. All right, guys, I'm going to move on to some lighter topics. Before that, I'm going to remind you that this channel and this video is sponsored by Evanex, the aftermarket toys, really, for your Tesla, and a discount code is in the description of this video, so check that out. All right, so let's move on to some Model 3 news. Model 3s are now available in Canada. Some of the and they're going to do it the same as they did in the United States. Employees, Tesla and SpaceX employees first. I don't know if they have SpaceX employees in Canada. And then current Tesla owners, and then everybody else. But you can, some of them are starting to get configuration emails. They can configure, and looks like, 4 to 5 weeks for delivery is what they're going to get. Same configuration, same deal, and they also announced the pricing. Tesla announced the pricing. Surprisingly, it's only within a few $100s of the, if you convert the Canadian dollar to US dollar. So it's pretty much the same price. So that's good news. Of course, it's not going to be available for $35,000 just yet, but it looks like they are maybe even running a little early, because they said mid 2018, and now it's, I would say, still early 2018, which I'm assuming is because they're trying to start selling cars outside of the United States as fast as possible. And talking about selling the Model 3 outside of the United States, Elon Musk also tweeted today to a question of Tom Kiss, talking about the right-hand drive Model 3, and he says that basically says it's probably going to come out in mid next year before we're able to make the real right-hand drive. Which I wish could be sooner. Maybe try Model S, used or new in the meanwhile. And he actually starts talking about how Model S is better than the Model 3 in his opinion, unless you want a smaller car. Kind of a weird tweet, right? Because first of all, whenever he says anything as far as timing is concerned, everybody takes it with a grain of salt, but also now he actually says probably. I'm a little surprised. I'm a little surprised. I mean, they either really try and, believe they're going to sell all these cars here in the United States and Canada, or there's something else going on with the rollout in a Model 3. So I guess it's going to be another at least year plus until, the right-hand drive is going to be available in Europe. So a little bit more of the wait that I thought we were going to have for the European drivers. Alan says, excited to say that the Hyundai Kona Electric will be in the Montreal car show. Absolutely. Maybe you can take some pictures and videos, send it to us, and we can share it with the rest of the audience. The only thing is, guys, when you do this little videos and footages from me, at least let me know if you're going to be giving it to others, because a lot of times I say, well, this is our part of the community that somebody in part of a community donated the footage, and then I see it on other channels, and there's part of many communities. So please let me know at least ahead of time when you do that. All right, the clip is heartbreaking, says Gary, New York. I think we have seen it enough times. Yeah, well, I don't know, have we? I really hope this story stays on top of news cycle, because really, we need to figure this out before we move forward with it. Okay, please give this video a thumbs up if you was enjoying it. Not particularly the crash video, but this video on this channel. I appreciate that. Let's move on to another news. Mission E-assembly video was released by Porsche. They kind of not showing us what the entire car is going to look like, but a lot of people are saying it's going to look like very much like the prototype, and I disagree completely. It looks more like Panamera crossed with maybe 911 a little bit, but the prototype is way, I mean, you're looking at the prototype right now, and here's the picture of the what it's probably going to look like. I'm going to restart the video, but it's it's exciting that they're moving forward with it. Of course, not until next year they're going into production, but it's definitely not going to look anything like the prototype, if you ask me. More stories, more production stories. Before that, by the way, just want to thank all of my Patreons for supporting the show. Some exclusive footage and pictures are there already. I'm going to post a couple more this week. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. If you want to join, the description of this video has the link. Faraday Future is moving forward with their Hanford factory in California. As a matter of fact, they released a video showing some of the progress that they're making. It looks like they're moving, starting to free up some space to start the production. We saw their prototype testing video just the other day. We saw that they did the supplier summit. Obviously, they got their over $1 billion in financing. So this might just be happening, guys. So I'm keeping my eyes on these guys. Yeah, coming back from the dead. Physics says that one looks pretty slick. I like it. Which one are you talking about? The prototype or what they're actually making for pre-production? Oh yeah, so don't forget this Saturday, as usually, we're going to have an interview. This time, I'm excited to have James Cook on the show, but have others coming up. Roger Atkins, who is an electric car blogger on LinkedIn with a pretty great following over there. Great guys, Zach and Jesse. Moved them to actually 28th, not 21st. I'm going to update it because on the 21st, I'm going to be going with my Tesla Adventure guys to the Kelman City Supercharger, one of the largest superchargers in America, and we're going to drive to the Avila Beach, and it's going to be big, sort of a little summit of Tesla car owners. I'm definitely going to stream live for you guys and have some cool footage of that as well. Way over time, as usual with the show, but I hope you guys enjoy it. Well, I mean, sorry if I put that footage up for a little too long, but again, this is something, as we're discussing, I want to make sure we're talking about every single little detail that we can notice, because as I said, this is something that really needs to happen. K Cora says you should interview Rich Rebuilds, aka Car Guru. I reached out to Rich. He said he would be more than interested to doing it, but when it came time to scheduling, he kind of stopped replying, and so now I'm kind of worried that in that case, people will end up not showing up. So I think I'm gonna scale down that effort. I was excited when we were talking, but again, once people just kind of stop replying to me, or replies are random or whatever, I'm usually just kind of back off. So if you guys believe some of the people that you watch on YouTube or read their blogs should be on the show, I strongly recommend you reach out directly to them. Maybe post comments on their videos, and maybe they'll reach out to me. But I'm just not up for running after somebody who may just not be that interested in doing that. Only people who just the friends of the show want to do this are welcome and will be on the show. All right, with that said, guys, that's pretty much it. I'm sorry this wasn't the most fun show, but we got to talk about stuff like this once in a while. Hopefully tomorrow we'll have more good news. So I will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Other than that, see you, and then remember to stay charged.